Hi, everybody. It's Polly Schneider from the Sheboygan Area Chamber, and we're trying something new here. We're going to do some of our focus things, but we're going to do them virtually now. So today with me is Jody Ginop from Woods and Water Wellness. You'll see in a little bit here, Jody has collaborated with some people. They've put together a great video that we're going to release later on today. So this is just kind of tying everything together. Jody is a certified therapist, a licensed therapist, and we've got some questions we want to ask her on what we can do for our mental health, our emotional well-being during this crisis with the COVID-19 pandemic. So welcome, Jody. So happy to actually see you. we've been working together via texting and phone calls and emails and stuff. So it's nice to actually to have some FaceTime with some people right now.
It is nice to see your face also.
So we've got just a few questions that we wanted to ask you, Jody, from a therapist standpoint on things that we can do personally and maybe as employers, members of the community and things like that. So here we go.
Sure.
I did not put you on the spot here.
I'll try my best.
So what are some of the concerns that you have as a therapist right now?
The biggest concern as a therapist, and in speaking with a lot of my colleagues and fellow therapists, we are dealing with all of this in real time, along with everybody else. So, as a therapist, you kind of learn the things that you might need to work on yourself, I guess. And, when you get to the point of being a seasoned therapist, those things you kind of already know how to navigate through. A pandemic isn't something that they teach you in college when you get your master's degree. So that's the biggest concern, is that we have to keep ourselves grounded and at the same time help others. What has helped is being connected with one another.
That's awesome. And a lot of people think that professionals such as yourself, it's like automatic for you, but this is something completely new for everybody, so it's reassuring to know that you guys are working on yourselves too, to stay, even keel and ready to go through this. One of the biggest things that I'm hearing in conversations with our chamber members and just other chamber professionals, what can employers say to their employees to kind of reassure them through this, to help them stay positive through this? Do you have any ideas on that?
Yeah, that's a difficult question. When you mentioned say it to your employees, I think it's kind of a global answer in that, one person didn't cause this and one person can't fix this. And so the uncertainty is, it's all around us. Now, does that answer how to help your employees, or, when are we going back to work? Where's the financial stability? Being a new business owner myself, there's that question of, is my business going to survive through this? And the flat out honest answer is, we don't know. And, you asked about remaining positive. To be just blunt, is that the best thing to be is honest and truthful.
Yeah. And that's what we're hearing a lot too. And I think employees will appreciate that. Just being honest about it. Hey, I'm doing everything I can do to ensure that we're going to keep going. Just like that honest and truthful answer, I think is great.
And most employers, and most of them have an employee assistance program, and those are still in place. Just because you're not reporting to work physically, your employee assistance program, if you have one, is still available, and it's okay to use it right now.
Right, absolutely. And sometimes something as simple as sharing this video that we're gonna post. That kind of will help with the hope and the positivity and the reassurance that a lot of people probably, I think, are feeling they need right now.
I agree.
So, yeah.
And, we hear it a lot, and it really is true. You're not alone, and the feelings you're having and the fears and the unknowns, they're all individual, yet at the same time, they're all global. And
Right.
so that's an important thing to remember, that what you're feeling, somebody else is probably feeling the same exact thing.
Right, absolutely. And kind of along those lines, we're all in this together alone. I've heard a hashtag about. Um, how can we stay connected through this? Obviously, virtually, like we are right now. You got
Right.
any other ideas on things that, maybe some old-fashioned notions that are coming back? Anything like that?
Sure. And I'm actually going to throw a little personal flair in that question, because my 12-year-old has been with his grandparents for 3 weeks, um, for reasons that it was the best choice right now.
Sure.
And so we have had to figure out ways to stay connected. When you're not seeing your child, your aunt, your uncle, your grandparents, for so long, that connection piece is really missing. And one thing I say so often is that connection really matters, and it makes a huge difference. So I've learned how to, I don't know what you call that thing, house party or something. And, I've used FaceTime more often, and those things that are more familiar to that particular age group, I'm learning. On the flip side, my son is learning, hey, you know what? You can actually talk on the phone for a while, or you can write a letter.
Yes. Yeah, that's
So,
great. I know for me too, I have a son that lives in Grand Rapids and I don't see him face to face a lot, but FaceTime and Zoom calls with family members, like Zoom, happy hours and that kind of stuff, have really
right.
connected us to family members that we haven't seen for a long time.
That is
Very
also
helpful.
a really good point, is that, on that flip side of the negative feelings that we're having, there are some positives that are occurring as well. And when you mentioned your son, I have a 26 and a 24-year-old son. We've sent them a breakfast video every day since this stay at home started.
Yep.
We wouldn't be doing that. We've really stayed more in touch, I guess,
Hmm.
than we would if this weren't happening.
Yeah, so there are definitely some positives that we're all going to be able to take out of this and hopefully adapt to and keep going moving forward to stay a little more connected as individuals with our friends and family and the community as a whole. Um, how about any tips and tricks on what we can do to keep our sanity through this, Jody? I know some days just the end of the day, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm completely frazzled and I don't know what to do. I'm feeling anxious or hopeless, or any self-care kind of tips that you can give us?
Sure. And it's funny you asked that question, because I was just sharing with a friend the other day. I told my husband I don't think he holds his phone right. you know, and there's humor in that. So now he picks his phone up and twists it and holds it a silly way, because you know what? We are it's just so much. But the tips and tricks and how to, stay emotionally grounded and keep your sanity, the things that work for you in other circumstances, try them. They'll probably work in this circumstance as well.
Hmm.
Now, the anxiety I'm hearing is just so intense. And it's the stuff that we've been hearing. And when it's said, it really is true. Don't watch the news too much. Stay off Facebook, stay off your social media. If you're bored and the thing that you do is go to the TV, the social media, the things that get you amped up, see if you can find an alternative. Like, we're very lucky and fortunate up here in Northern Michigan, because if we're bored, we've got a plethora of amazing places we can go explore outdoors.
Yeah, for sure. Tons of trails, more miles in the county of trails in the county of Michigan than of the county of Sheboygan than any other county in the state of Michigan. So there's definitely lots to do. The Conservancy's nature trails and all that. Definitely some great options for us to kind of stay active. You know, have a conversation with your neighbor across the street. Just
Right.
my neighbor and I did that the other day. She sat like 12 feet away from me on the deck when it was sunny out, and we had a cup of coffee together. So it was just those extra little connections really do kind of make a difference.
Yes,
Um,
I
yeah.
agree.
And Jody, finally, I just want to ask, are there any coping mechanisms that you can maybe have us kind of, if we're feeling we need them, that we can try to implement on things? Any ideas on that?
Sure. And that question kind of ties everything together. We hear the word coping mechanisms, and, you might hear take a bath, take a break, take a walk. There are things that you hear. However, when you put them into specific situations, they make a whole lot more sense. For example, a couple weeks ago was my dad's birthday. He turned 70. That was a big deal. We didn't get to see him.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my coping mechanism. We had a birthday dinner. We saw each other. We did the same things. There were, family things that we did. And the coping was that, this is the way it is. I cannot change this right now. So I'm going to cope with what I have right in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
If you're getting anxious about not knowing if you're going back to work, think about the feeling and then think about what you're thinking about. And I think that behaving accordingly and responding with all kinds of coping mechanisms that we've heard of is a really good idea.
And I think that's helpful. I think, like we talked in the beginning, knowing that we're all in the same boat here. Some people may deal with stress and things like that a little bit differently than others, but we're all in the same boat. Reach out, talk to the people that you care about, your coworkers if you haven't seen them for 3-4 weeks, all that kind of stuff. Take time for yourself. Do what you need to do to deal with this. If it's watch a movie or go for a walk or yell at your neighbor across the street, hey, how you been? I think those are all important things. And now that everything is kind of sunk in and we're all in this, I think these are some great tips and tricks that you've given us just to kind of help navigate through these waters that are unknown for everybody.
Yes. And, one, I guess, final thought is that, comparing yourself to how someone else is navigating through this is not helpful. We're all coming from different places and meeting together, handling the same situation. So, working from home every day, sometimes we might put pressure on ourselves if we see that someone else has painted their basement and cleaned out their pantry and, made 7 homemade pies, and someone else is working from home. And at the end of the day, they're exhausted and all they want to do is sleep.
Right.
That's okay. You're different. We're all dealing with the same thing under different circumstances.
Yeah. And that's a great point. Not putting so much pressure on yourself to perform as normal, because it isn't normal. If you need to take an hour and a half lunch break or whatever you have to do for you to get through it, and don't compare yourself to your neighbor or your friend. That's great words of advice there. Awesome. Well, I want to thank you, Jody, for visiting with me for a little bit here. I hope everybody enjoys this wonderful video that Jody and some others have put together. And if you need help, reach out. You can always email us at info@sheboygan.com, and we can get you in touch with people like Jody that can help you navigate through this on an individual basis if you need to, or whatever else you may need. Just get a hold of us.
On that note, a very helpful website is called Psychology Today. You just type that in and, hit your search, and it will give you a lot of parameters. If you're a person who's very private and personal and you don't want to reach out and ask your employer or your neighbor, you can do that personally yourself, and it will give you all kinds of options of therapists and counselors that are available in your area.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Jody. And
we'll
be seeing more of everybody else as we start doing all these virtual interviews and stuff. So stay tuned and have a great day, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.